Has this ever happened to you? You pour your heart and soul into someone, twisting yourself into knots, changing the very essence of who you are, all in the desperate hope that it will be enough to make them stay. You convince yourself that if you just care a little more, or just a little kinder, love a little harder, they will finally choose you. But they don't. They still leave. And you're left standing in the wreckage, with one question echoing in the silence. Am I still not good enough? From the time we're young, we're fed a story. We're taught that love is a puzzle, and we are the incomplete piece, that we must sand down our edges and change our shape to fit perfectly with another. We learn that our worth is something to be earned, a prize that can only be given to us when someone else decides we are lovable. But what if that whole story is backward? The brilliant psychoanalyst Carl Jung pointed to a truth that cuts straight to the heart of this pain. He observed that if you are fundamentally unaware of your own intrinsic worth, you will be doomed to repeat relationships that only reinforce your feelings of worthlessness. You'll spend your life begging for a love from others that you have never, ever learned to give to yourself. It is only when you begin to love yourself, not with empty words and affirmations, but with the fierce, unwavering action of setting boundaries, of refusing to accept a love that is less than you deserve, of learning to be alone and yet feel completely whole. Only then does the right kind of person even have a chance to appear in your life. Not because you're desperately searching for them to fill an emptiness inside you, but precisely because you no longer need anyone to. The love you've been chasing isn't found in someone else's whispered promises. It's an awakening waiting to happen deep within you. You believe you're looking for love, but so often, what you're really searching for is an anesthetic, a drug to numb a pain you've never had the courage to truly face. You tell yourself you want a secure, committed relationship with someone who loves you sincerely. But take an honest look back. How many times have you found yourself entangled with people who made you feel small, perpetually anxious, and completely at the mercy of their emotional whims? How many times have you cried out to the universe, "Why do I always meet the same kind of person? Why am I always the one who loves more?" And how many times, after each shattering heartbreak, did you swear to yourself that this time would be different, only to find yourself falling into the exact same pattern, the exact same trap? This isn't just a string of bad luck. It is a deep, unconscious wound replaying itself over and over again, like a glitch in your emotional software, and it will continue to do so until you are finally awake enough to stop and face it head on. Carl Jung famously stated that you don't attract what you want with your conscious mind. You attract what you are in the hidden depths of your being. In that unconscious space where your deepest fears, your buried traumas, and the limiting beliefs you've carried since childhood are secretly pulling the strings, controlling you like an invisible puppeteer. Consider a familiar story, a woman who finds herself, time and again, drawn to men who are emotionally cold, distant, and who never seem to fully let her in. Each time a relationship ends in that predictable, painful way, she tells her friends, "That's it. Next time, I'm choosing someone kind and emotionally available." But the next time comes, and she finds herself inexplicably drawn to the same man, just with a different name and a different face. Why does this happen? It's because she hasn't done the work of sitting with herself in the quiet. And deep in her unconscious, an old, powerful belief is running the show. The belief says, "I am not worthy of being loved completely. I have to strive. I have to earn it. I have to prove I'm good enough." And so, without even realizing it, she is magnetically drawn to people who trigger that exact feeling. People who make love feel like a frantic performance where she is auditioning for a part she will never get. This is the cruel and brilliant trap of the unawakened mind. You think you're falling in love, but you are actually just recasting an old play from your past with new actors. You call it romance, but it's not. It's emotional dependency wearing a very convincing disguise. A love that is born from a place of lack, from a feeling of emptiness, is not real love. It is a desperate form of emotional bargaining. You give your affection, but it's a transaction designed to fill a void, to quiet the terror of being alone, to soothe the gnawing fear that nobody needs you. You love not because you are whole and want to share your fullness, but because you are fractured and you need someone to make you feel complete. And for that very reason, that kind of love can never be sustained. It can never be healthy because it isn't born from a place of freedom. It is born from a place of need. And anything that comes from need will always, inevitably, create some form of bondage. Be brutally honest with yourself for a moment. When you believe you're in love, do you find yourself becoming a different person? Do you become more fragile, more sensitive, and thrown into a state of panic when the other person doesn't act exactly as you hope? That's the signal. It's the sign that you're not actually loving them. You are clinging to the idea of them, the fantasy that they hold the key to healing you. And that is precisely where the suffering begins. Jung would call this an identification with the wound. It's when you haven't yet learned to separate your true self from the part of you that has been hurt. Instead of doing the hard work of healing that wound yourself, you look for a partner to carry the burden for you, to love you so much that you forget your own insecurities. But no one can do this for you. And so, you are met with disappointment after disappointment. You keep getting hurt. You keep demanding more. And you keep repeating the cycle. A love born from need is like trying to build a beautiful house on a foundation of sand. It might look solid for a little while, but the first big wave of conflict or distance is enough to bring the entire structure crashing down, because it has no grounding in your own inner stability. It is entirely dependent on the other person's presence, their words, their validation. And just like that, you turn your lover into the gatekeeper of your emotional well-being. If they leave, you crumble. If they stay, you can breathe a temporary sigh of relief. This isn't love. It's a form of emotional addiction. And that kind of love will always be a beautiful, dangerous illusion. Until you are brave enough to look that illusion in the face, you will continue to run in circles, forever hoping that someone else will finally love you the right way, instead of realizing that you are the only one who can. Imagine a man who has just been through a painful breakup. Instead of taking a necessary pause to actually feel the pain, to understand what happened, to learn from the wound, he immediately jumps back onto dating apps. He starts frantically talking to anyone who will give him a crumb of attention, a fleeting feeling of being wanted, of being chosen. He tells himself he's being proactive, that he's opening himself up to finding new love. But in reality, he is running away from himself as fast as he can. And in that state of flight, who do you think he meets? He meets other people who are also running. The relationships that are born from this energy are forged by two people in a state of lack, two people in a hurry, connecting not through a sense of peace, but through a shared sense of fear. And so, inevitably, he finds himself disappointed again, feeling abandoned again, solidifying his belief that love is nothing but suffering. He fails to see the most critical piece of the puzzle. The energy he is putting out into the world is directly shaping the kind of love he receives in return. And so, if the only thing you have inside you is a buzzing anxiety, a deep-seated fear of abandonment, and a desperate craving for validation, you will never attract anything other than people who perfectly mirror and trigger those very same feelings within you. To change the love you attract, you cannot start by changing who you date. You must start by going within. You must recognize that old fear, bring it out of the shadows and into the light, and instead of searching for someone to soothe it, you must begin to ask yourself the hard questions. Why do I believe I am not enough? Where did this belief come from? And is it actually true? No one, no matter how much they love you, can love you enough to make you feel like you are enough. That power doesn't exist outside of you. The only thing that can break the cycle is when you stop needing love as an emotional crutch and finally learn to walk on your own 2 feet. It sounds harsh, but it is a truth that very few dare to face. We often mistake our emotional hunger for love. When you're starving, any food will seem appealing, but that doesn't mean the food is nutritious or good for you. This love born from need is the primary way we betray ourselves. It's how we hand over the sacred responsibility of loving ourselves to someone else. And here is where it gets even deeper. It's not just that we love in the wrong way. It's that we are seeing the wrong people to begin with. Because most of what you think is love is simply a projection, a reflection of your own inner world seen in the shadow of another person. Jung once said that the most important political, social, and spiritual work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadow onto others. In his view, love is not just a simple emotion. It is a powerful mirror that reflects your inner psychological state with terrifying accuracy. You don't just love someone for who they are. You love them because they awaken something within you that you have not yet acknowledged in yourself. We tend to think of the encounters in our lives as random coincidences. You meet someone in a class, at a new job, through a mutual friend, a chance meeting on the street, or a swipe on a dating app. We see these as moments of pure chance. But in the world as Carl Jung saw it, there is no such thing as random, especially when it comes to the people who enter our lives and change everything. The person you meet is precisely the one your inner world has been calling for. Jung asserted that we are not just driven by our conscious mind, the part of us we know and try to control. We are guided by a much deeper layer, the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of instincts and archetypes inherited from our earliest ancestors. These archetypes aren't things we can see or touch, but they manifest as powerful symbols and primal images, and they carry an intense emotional charge. In the realm of love, the most powerful of these archetypes are the anima and the animus. The anima is the unconscious feminine aspect within a man's psyche, representing qualities like nurturing, intuition, and deep emotion. The animus is the unconscious masculine aspect within a woman's psyche, embodying qualities like reason, action, strength, and logic. Every single one of us, regardless of our gender, carries an idealized image of the other, shaped by these unconscious forces. When you meet someone in the real world who happens to match this internal, archetypal image, you don't just feel a simple attraction. You feel a profound, earth-shattering sense of destiny, as if the universe itself has sent this person to you to finally make you whole. It feels predestined, like an invisible thread has connected two lives from completely different worlds. As Jung put it, some connections are formed long before life even gives them a name. This isn't just poetic language, it's a deep psychological theory. Beneath the surface of your daily life, something much deeper is constantly at work. Nothing happens by chance, and what you call fate may just be the unconscious parts of you interacting with the world, calling in the very people you need to meet. They come to you as mirrors, not to comfort you, but to reflect you. The crucial point is that you don't even need to be aware of what frequency you're broadcasting. Your unconscious does it for you. Your suppressed desire for love, your deep-seated feelings of inadequacy, the beliefs about relationships you absorbed as a child without ever questioning them. All of these things are emitting a powerful, invisible energy. And because of this, every significant person who enters your life carries a message. They are there to reflect the deepest, most hidden layers of yourself back to you. They are like a door that suddenly opens in the middle of your ordinary life. And when they step through, they activate a part of you that has been dormant for years. You might meet someone who is quiet and emotionally distant, someone who hurts you by making you feel constantly ignored or on the verge of being abandoned. But if you look deeply and honestly enough, you will realize that this feeling wasn't created by them. That feeling has been living inside of you for a very, very long time. It is the part of you that has always been craving external validation, the part that needs love to feel that it has a right to exist. That is how the shadow within us, the parts of ourselves we have repressed and denied, finds its way into the light. Not through reading books or listening to lectures, but through real people, real emotions, and real, visceral pain. And that is why, despite all the hurt they may cause, these encounters are profoundly necessary. The truth is, you don't meet anyone by accident. You meet exactly the right person for the lesson your soul needs to learn. The one who hurts you is there to show you your own unhealed pain. The one who makes you feel insecure is there to reflect your own false beliefs about your worth. And the one who finally makes you feel like yourself is there to remind you that you deserve to be yourself all along. But this is also the trap, because we don't fall in love with them for who they truly are. We fall in love with a projected image from our own unconscious. We love who we think they are, the idealized role we need them to play, not the complex, flawed human being standing right in front of us. And when love is built on a foundation of projection, it is destined to be an illusion. Eventually, the fog of that illusion will clear, and we are left feeling disappointed, angry, and betrayed. But instead of taking that as a cue to turn inward and examine our own projections, we simply go out and search for someone new to project onto, and the painful cycle begins all over again. But projection is only the surface of the phenomenon. What truly keeps us chained to these unhealthy dynamics at a much deeper level is the unconscious energy we constantly emit, the energy of lack. You might not say a word about it. You may become a master at hiding your true emotions behind a casual smile. But energy does not lie. Other people can sense your desperate need for love. They can feel that you are someone who does not yet know how to love themselves. They sense it not through your words, but through the way your gaze lingers a little too long, the way you wait for their response with a little too much eagerness, the way you fall silent with a little too much anxiety, or the way you try a little too hard just to be seen and acknowledged. Carl Jung once observed that what you are not aware of, you cannot control. And what you cannot control, controls you. It is this pervasive, invisible energy of lack, this intense and silent craving, that will curdle a connection and make love grow cold, no matter how desperately you try to hold on to it. How many times have you felt your entire world tilt on its axis because someone didn't reply to your message for a few hours? How many times have you found yourself compulsively checking their social media, their stories, their online status, trying to piece together clues about what they're thinking, where they are, or who they're with? How many times have you put on a brave face and said, "I'm fine," while inside you're a raging tidal wave of insecurity, just waiting for them to do something, anything, to make you feel safe again? That is the energy of need. And it is not only utterly exhausting for you, it is the very thing that makes other people slowly, almost imperceptibly, pull away. In modern psychology, this is called attachment anxiety. But in the richer language of Jung, it is the expression of an unintegrated shadow. When you need love from an external source to feel worthy, you are, without realizing it, handing the keys to your soul over to another person. You're not truly loving. You are begging for validation. And here is the painful truth. People don't pull away from you because you're not beautiful enough, or not interesting enough, or not good enough. They pull away because they can feel the crushing weight of the expectation you have placed upon them. The unspoken job of making you feel secure, making you feel whole, making you feel worthy. No human being can sustain that role for long. And so, they retreat to get some air. And when they do, you feel abandoned all over again, confirming your deepest fear. I knew it. I'm not enough. And the tragic cycle restarts. As Jung said, where there is desire, there is bondage. The desire he spoke of wasn't simple lust or affection. It was the absolute, all-consuming need for another person to fill the void inside of you. The energy of need is fundamentally different from the desire for connection. A desire for connection comes from a place of wholeness. It says, I want you in my life, but I am still me without you. Need comes from a place of lack. It screams, if you are not here, I don't know who I am. This is the critical distinction between a healthy, interdependent love and an obsessive, codependent one. The greatest challenge is that you cannot easily see this energy in yourself because it operates from the deep unconscious, like a powerful undercurrent beneath the surface of the ocean. You sincerely believe you are in love, but what you're actually feeling is fear. And that fear makes you act in ways that, ironically, repel the very person you want to draw closer. The incessant questioning, the irrational jealousy, the constant need for reassurance. These are all symptoms of the energy of need, an invisible force that pushes love away even as you consciously try to pull it closer. This is where we must go deeper than mere behavior. We must look at the source of the wound itself. This is what Jung called individuation, and he considered it the most important journey a person can undertake in their entire life. It is the journey of becoming wholly and authentically oneself, no longer a copy of someone else, no longer manipulated by the expectations of others, the wounds of the past, or the idealized images you project onto the world. And it is this journey, not finding the right partner, that is the true key to attracting a love that no longer stems from lack, but from a profound sense of freedom. Have you ever stopped to genuinely ask yourself, why do I keep choosing people who are incapable of loving me the way I know I deserve? Why do I then try to change them, mold them, and fix them, all in an effort to fill this deep, aching void inside me? Jung explained this phenomenon not with simple logic, but through the language of a divided soul. When you have not yet individuated, when you are still disconnected from the most authentic parts of yourself, you will always seek in others what you haven't yet dared to face within. Now, individuation is not about becoming independent in the cold, modern sense of the word. It does not mean you must live alone, do everything by yourself, or pretend that you don't need anyone. That's a shallow interpretation. True individuation is the profound process of beginning to see who you really are, what emotional baggage you are carrying, which of your wounds are silently running your life, and then learning to accept and integrate all of those parts, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, to become a unified, conscious, and free human being who is finally capable of making real choices. Imagine that woman from before, the one who always carries a deep-seated fear of abandonment. Perhaps as a child, she was emotionally neglected. Her parents may not have been cruel, but they were emotionally absent. She never learned how to cultivate self-love because she never received a model for it. So, instead of developing a core of self-worth, she developed a core of inadequacy. She learned the false lesson that to be loved, she had to be agreeable, quiet, and never a bother to anyone. Now, as an adult in her romantic relationships, she unconsciously repeats this pattern. She is always the one who gives more, who sacrifices her needs, who compromises her boundaries, who swallows her true feelings to keep the peace. She believes, on a deep level, that if she is just good enough, people won't leave her. But they always do. Not because she is unlovable, but because the entire energy she emits is steeped in the frequency of someone who has never learned to love herself. She loves out of a deep fear of being left, not from a place of freedom. She loves from a distorted version of herself, a persona that was created to survive in an emotionally barren environment. And that persona, when it tries to love, can only create a counterfeit version of it, a transaction of dependency, not a true and deep connection. Jung once stated, "No one can see outward if they haven't looked inward." This means you cannot truly see, know, or love another person for who they are if you do not first know who you are. If you don't understand your own needs and haven't confronted the parts of yourself that you have rejected and pushed into the shadows. Individuation is the journey of embracing your entire being, your light and your shadow, your weaknesses and your strengths, your wounds and your potential. And when you finally do this, you begin to love not because you need someone to make you feel enough, but because you are enough, and you wish to share that fullness with another. The great irony is that so many people believe they are grown up, that they are free, but they are still living as wounded children inside of adult bodies. They enter into relationships with the naive expectation that their partner will magically understand them completely, love them unconditionally, and heal all of their unspoken wounds, without ever realizing that every time they love from a place of lack, they are dragging their old baggage into a new home and placing it at their partner's feet. And sooner or later, that partner will buckle under the weight. This process of individuation is painful. It has to be, because it demands that you finally turn and face all the things you have spent your life running from. The emptiness, the loneliness, the fear. You can no longer blame others for your pain. You can no longer hide in the comfortable role of being a victim of love. You must take radical responsibility for the choices you make. You must find the courage to peel away every layer of your false self, every defense mechanism, every story you've told yourself to survive, and return to the real, unadorned, and unconditional you. Once you have made peace with yourself, once you have learned to love your own beautiful imperfections, you will realize that true love was never about finding your other half. True love happens when two individuated people, two souls who are already at peace with themselves, choose to walk alongside each other, not to fill a void, but to amplify each other's light. And when love finally comes from that sacred place, it is no longer insecure. You no longer feel the need to cling to the other person to maintain your sense of self-worth. You don't need to control them. You don't need to demand things from them. And you don't require them to prove their love every single day just to make you feel safe. Because the safety you were always looking for, you have finally built inside of yourself. This is the great journey of transformation, the journey from being a chaser to becoming an attractor. No one else can love you into existence. No one can make you feel whole if you don't believe you are worthy of it. No relationship, no matter how beautiful it seems, can fill a void that you have never dared to face yourself. And that is why this journey of healing does not begin with finding someone new. It begins and ends with you. Carl Jung didn't offer his patients sweet, easy consolations. He didn't paint psychology as a rosy path to instant happiness. Jung was the one who would pull you back to the very center of your own pain and demand that you stay there, that you face your own darkness head on, and from that darkness, find your own true light. To heal from this energy of dependency, you must do what very few people dare to do. You must learn to be alone, consciously and without escaping, and you must learn, step by step, how to return to yourself. The first step begins with a radical reflection on your current or past relationships. Ask yourself honestly, what is this relationship reflecting back to me? Am I in a dynamic where I am always the one to text first, always the one to apologize after a fight, always the one sacrificing my own comfort just to keep the peace? Dig even deeper. Where in this relationship am I abandoning myself? Perhaps you hesitate to set a clear boundary because you're terrified they'll leave. Perhaps you feel profoundly lonely even when you're with them, because you stopped sharing your true feelings long ago. These are all signs that you are abandoning yourself in the name of love. And starting today, I want you to make a commitment to yourself, to pause all behaviors that are driven by the need to be loved or reassured. This means you do not text them just to check in. Even if you miss them terribly, even if you're worried they're upset, even if you just want to confirm that they still care, you stop. You don't need to check. You need to learn to trust that if someone is truly connected to you, they will show up out of their own genuine desire, without your prompting or reminders. You do not need a reply on a screen to know your worth. Your value is not located in someone else's response. It is located in the commitment you make to stay true to yourself. The second exercise is to practice intentional solitude. This is not the same as passive loneliness, where you curl up with your phone, endlessly scrolling, waiting for someone or something to distract you from your own emptiness. This is purposeful stillness. It is choosing to silence all the external noise so that you can finally hear the whisper of your own inner voice. Try these steps. Start journaling your emotions every single day, every morning or every night. Write down everything you are feeling without judgment. The confusion, the pain, the anger, the excitement. It doesn't need to be poetic or perfect. It just needs to be honest. Writing is the act of untangling the unconscious, of bringing the light of your own awareness into the places where emotional darkness has been allowed to reign. Next, you must face the feeling of loneliness without running away. Instead of immediately filling the void with a movie, with social media, with food, or with random text messages, just sit still. Truly sit with it. Feel the emptiness as a physical sensation in your chest, in your stomach. Don't rush to fill it up. Instead, ask it questions. Where did you come from? What are you trying to tell me? In that profound silence, you will begin to hear the sounds you have always tried to drown out. The voice of your own heart, old memories, outdated beliefs, and unhealed wounds. These are not your enemies. They are the map that will guide you back home to yourself. Finally, you must shift your focus to nurturing your own inner world. Ask yourself how much of your precious time and energy you have spent trying to be loved by other people. How much of your life force have you poured into trying to become someone else's ideal? It is time to reclaim all of that energy and give it back to yourself. Not through superficial acts of self-indulgence, but by truly building a solid inner foundation. Care for your physical body, recognizing that it is your most sacred temple, the vessel that holds every single one of your emotional wounds. A balanced diet, getting enough sleep, and moving your body every day doesn't just make you healthier. It reduces the unconscious stress that makes you so prone to dependency in the first place. When you feel clearer in your body, you will make clearer emotional decisions. Embrace your creativity. Write, draw, play music, cook, design something. Anything that allows you to feel that you are creating and contributing to the world from your own unique abilities. Creative acts are one of the most powerful ways to heal a fractured self because they awaken a sense of intrinsic value that only you can bring forth. And, most crucially, you must reconnect with your own presence. Schedule time every single day for things that make you feel truly alive and at peace with yourself. A quiet walk in the evening sun, reading a chapter of a book that helps you understand yourself better, or the simple ritual of brewing a cup of tea and drinking it slowly with your full attention. These are not trivial activities. They are the strongest affirmations you can make. They are you saying to the universe, I choose to stay with myself. I no longer need to escape. When you do these things, you are not just withdrawing your energy from unhealthy attachments. You are fundamentally transforming yourself from the inside out. You are sending a new message to your subconscious mind, a message that says, I am ready to stop loving out of need. I am ready to love from a place of fullness. And it is from that place where you no longer need anyone to make you feel enough, where you no longer seek love as a form of salvation, that a completely new energy will begin to radiate from you. An energy of groundedness, of calm, of an allure that is not rooted in your appearance, but in the quiet power of your true essence. When you no longer live your life from a state of chronic lack, you begin to emit a completely different frequency into the world. It's an energy that doesn't beg, but invites. An energy that doesn't cling, but attracts. An energy that doesn't crave with frantic anxiety, but rests in a state of profound ease. This energy, as Carl Jung described it, is the hallmark of a soul that has bravely moved beyond the realm of projection and has begun the sacred process of integrating into its most authentic self. You no longer feel the compulsive need to find someone to fill your inner void, because in that quiet, sacred space inside of you, you have already built a life that is rich and worth living all on its own. And from that place of fullness, you begin to magnetically draw in the very things you once chased after in a state of desperation, always striving but never quite reaching. There is a fundamental law of energy at play here. When you need something too much, you create a pressure that makes it naturally retreat. But when you no longer need it, when you are whole without it, you become a powerful magnet for everything that is meant for you. Carl Jung said, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by the integration of the contraries." This wholeness is what you begin to experience. And from that wholeness, you start to attract truly healthy relationships. People come into your life, they stay, and they strive to genuinely connect with you because they are drawn to your fullness. They can sense that being near you will not mean taking on the heavy burden of managing your emotions. They feel that they don't have to constantly prove themselves or walk on eggshells around your insecurities. They can finally just be themselves because you are finally being yourself. This extends far beyond romance. You start attracting opportunities that are in true alignment with your soul's purpose because you are no longer making decisions out of a fear of being left behind or a need for external validation. You move with a newfound clarity, which makes your choices more decisive, your work deeper, and your creativity more potent. You attract a kind of affection that is genuine, unconditional, and non-exploitative. You begin to draw in people who are straightforward, emotionally stable, and honest, because you have finally stopped performing and pretending just to be liked. The people who are attracted to the real you are a completely different caliber than the people who were attracted to your mask of neediness. You attract those who love not because they think they can make you happy, but because they are already happy within themselves and they wish to share that joy with you. This is the love of two free and sovereign individuals. It is not the desperate attempt of two wounded people trying to patch their holes with each other. It is the beautiful convergence of two souls who have stepped out of the prison of emotional addiction, who have done the hard work of learning to live authentically, fully, and deeply. And because of that, they choose each other not out of a desperate need, but out of a clear and conscious want. They come together not to fill a void, but because both have learned how to love themselves wholly first. Love, then, is no longer a prize to be won for being good enough. It becomes the natural, effortless response of two souls vibrating on the same frequency of wholeness. They don't try to cling to each other. They don't feel the need to control each other. They don't stay together out of a paralyzing fear of loss. They choose to stay, every single day, because among a world of infinite options, they still consciously choose each other. The relationship is no longer a necessity for survival. It is a conscious companionship. And the most wonderful thing of all is that when you reach this state of inner sovereignty, even if someone does walk out of your life, you no longer collapse into a million pieces. Because you know, deep in your bones, that another person's presence does not define your worth. Love only reflects the worth that you already carry within you. You will still feel the sting of loss, you will still hurt, but you will not lose yourself, because you have finally, truly found yourself. And then, other worthy things will come. Other beautiful people will appear. Not on a schedule, not according to a script, but at the precise moment you stop craving and start living from a place of self-love. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Ultimately, the answer to the relationship you have always longed for does not lie in finding the right person. It lies in the very essence of the energy you emit into the world every single day. And the miracle is, you hold the power to change that energy whenever you decide to. Whenever you choose to pause, to turn inward, and to finally begin putting yourself first. just as Jung told us. But if you have nothing at all to create, then perhaps you create yourself. True love does not come from straining and striving to be loved. It comes when you finally stop trying to be someone else and give yourself permission to live as your authentic self. No more controlling, no more clinging, no more begging. Just a powerful, quiet, grounded presence. Perhaps no one ever really falls in love with another person. Perhaps they fall into themselves, into the parts of their own soul they have never dared to see. And true love, if it exists, is simply the natural, harmonious response of a soul that has finally returned to its own beautiful and complete essence. If what I've shared today has resonated with you, if it has stirred something within you and urges you to begin this transformative journey for yourself, please subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Who knows? The next video we release might arrive in your life at the exact moment you need it most.
Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next content. Goodbye.